Hi, so this angle's weird, but oh wow, that is really bright. Hello, skin. Yeah, you can see everything okay. It's Sunday afternoon. I have been chilling. I just want to do an update because I read some stuff yesterday. So yesterday I read volume 1 of Ascendance of a Bookworm, which is a isekai manga about a woman who dies and is reincarnated in the body of this 5-year-old girl in a world that has no literature, that has no writing, and most of the people are illiterate. And the idea is that she is so needy for books that she's going to create them as she has to. So it's a little silly, it's a little ridiculous. Usually I'm totally cool with isekai, I like isekai, but the buy-in for this is a little hard at first because I love books, I love reading. I can't imagine a world without books, but the way she needs to read is it's a little hard to buy into. But once you do, it's fun, it's cute. Seeing her family deal with the fact that she's being weird now and is like kind of like a weird precocious genius is kind of fun. So I have volumes 2 and 3 from the library, and I will continue on with the series if I continue enjoying it. I also read Zom 100 volumes 11 and 12. We're so deep in the series now that I think if I told you most of anything, it wouldn't really be spoilers, but it's just it makes no sense if you don't know the series. So we're just continuing on with the characters. We do end volume 12 in a place that was such a big cliffhanger. I got a little misty. And I wish I'd known that volume 12 was a cliffhanger because I would have held off. But I think because I do have the Shonen Jump and the Viz apps, I can't remember which one Zom 100's on. Whichever one Zom 100 is on, I will definitely be reading the next few chapters that are available to see what happens because I cannot end on that cliffhanger. But yeah, I love the series. It's stupid. It's funny. The humor is exactly my type of humor. I do recommend it all the time, but I will say if you read the first volume or 2 and you don't really enjoy the humor, don't try to push past it because that is the humor, that is the writing, and that's going to be the whole series. And if you don't like that, then this is not for you. So highly recommended. One of my favorite manga going out right now, and I love it. What else? I did start a Villain last night. Start a Villain by John Scalzi. I got this from the library as part of my reading the Hugo and Nebula finalist read-along kind of thing that I'm doing. And I got halfway through. And yet I don't really, it feels like nothing has really happened. But I guess that kind of goes with the territory when really the story is about this main character who finds out that his estranged uncle was actually a billionaire supervillain. So we're being introduced to everything at the same rate that he is. He is our buy-in to the world. And halfway through, and I don't feel like much has happened, but also a lot has happened. So it's silly. I'm enjoying it. I love the cats. I'm here for it. I'm here to see where it goes. I will probably end up finishing this tonight. What else? Oh, yes. My Kindle here too. I tend to read on my Kindle when I am going to bed, so I don't often put what I'm reading on my Kindle up right away, but I am currently reading The City of Last Chances by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and I'm enjoying it. I will say that it's very interesting. It's a very deeply thought out fantasy world so far. I haven't always vibed 100% with Tchaikovsky. I loved Elder Race, but I bounced off Ogres really hard. So I'm interested, curious to see where this is going, and I will say that I'm currently reading that. Another thing that I read, completely forgot about this, also part of the Hugo Nebula reading that I'm doing is I Am AI by Ai Jiang. And this was kind of hard to explain. I'm going to move because my arm's hurting. So this is, it's a novelette about, set like, I don't know, 100, 200 years in the future, about this woman who is mostly cyborg. Like, she's been trading out body parts to survive. And it's in a basic dystopian world where she's constantly needing to do everything she can to keep her body powered to stay alive. And a lot of it is she actually writes, she pretends to be an AI writing app, but writes it herself, and people subscribe to her because they enjoy how human the AI is. So she pushes herself to do that, try to make money as much as she can. And the story plays with a lot of themes of human independence versus how we use AI and how would we use it to replace our humanity, and how we are using it now in a way that is replacing the things that I would argue make us human. We're using AI for art, which is just it's just insane to me. Like, I am 100% like, no AI art, no AI writing. Like, that's just something I don't believe in. And I plays with a lot of that. So it was a really interesting novelette. And I'm really glad that I read it through this process. What else? I think that's it. That's really all I've really read. That's all I've read yesterday, which is kind of crazy to me because after how little I've been reading last month, having all of that in one day. Granted, it's all like manga and a novelette, but you know, it's a lot of reading, which I always enjoy doing. So I'm happy I got a lot of that done. I am gonna finish Starter Villain tonight, I think. And then that's it. That's my Sunday. Hi. It is Monday. Oh my god, it's been such a long day. I am so tired. What is it? It's Monday night. I got home, got into bed, and finished Starter Villain by John Scalzi. And what was the point of this book? Okay, yeah, so it is a fun send-up of Bond movies and Bond villains, and there was a fun storyline, and what was the point? The main character, Charlie, has no character journey whatsoever. He's just there to be the audience surrogate for whatever is happening. All of the twists and turns and reveals and villain stuff and villain convocation and the islands and the unionized dolphins that are assholes, and like, I can see how all of that would be fun parts of a book, but put together in this way, what was the point other than making a silly book? And like, okay, yeah, you can have silly books, like yeah, silly books, I'm all for it, but like, this was missing something. And I think what was missing was really Charlie as a character. He had no growth. He had no development. He was just there to be like, villains? Oh my god, talking cats? Oh my god, dolphins? What the heck? Oh my god, you guys are villains? Oh my god, I'm so stupid, but I'm not really stupid. I used to be a journalist, so I'm kind of smart sometimes too. And like, oh my god, you're such a dumb villain. And like, you know, I'm just disappointed because I wanted to have a stupid good time, and maybe if there was something a little more to this, and this wasn't so, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then that happened, and then they went back to the island, and then this happened, and then this happened. It just felt like, and then it just, and I'm so disappointed. This could have been so much fun. The cats were great. Hera and Persephone, like, love them. The unionizing the dolphins, okay. Yeah, no. This doesn't deserve to be on the Hugo shortlist. I'm sorry. Of all the Scalzi stuff, no. This was fun, but best SFF of the year, this was barely even SFF. Like, it was supervillain stuff. So yeah, there were like, you know, communicators that dolphins could talk through, and like the cats could like type and stuff. But other than that, there was no sci-fi to this other than like Bond villain stuff. And it was just Bond villain stuff. It was just stuff like lasers, and everybody was bombing each other and shooting each other. Like, starter villain. Okay. Good night. Still Monday night, and I have moved on from Starter Villain to The Water Outlaws by S.L. Huang, and I just wanted to point out how cute this is. They're doing little martial arts poses. Like, that's, I love that so much. I kind of want them to be like stickers so I can use them. And then each chapter starts with that. I love it. This is so good. And I'm so upset that I have to go to sleep now and be a responsible adult, because all I want to do is read this. I'm 84 pages in. It's still Monday night. I stayed up another hour after finishing Starter Villain, and this was such a refreshing thing to move on to after Starter Villain. So yeah, so happy. Everybody read this. Just do it. Hello, weekly wrap up. I filmed some clips earlier this week as I was reading, so you've probably seen those already. I've put them before this part of the video, but it is Sunday. Didn't have a chance to finish filming last night because I had a little belated birthday board game hangout, so we're doing stuff all day. So in the clips I already talked about pretty much this stack here. Ascendance of a Bookworm, Volume 1, Zom 100, Volumes 11 and 12, Starter Villain, Disappointed, and The Water Outlaws. I guess I will expand on The Water Outlaws. So I ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5. This was fantastic. This was so much fun. It essentially is a send-up of Chinese myth in like wuxia martial arts type of storytelling, that genre, but with a gender-bent queer lens. And essentially it tells the story of Lin Chong, who is an arms master. She in the Imperial Army, she teaches martial arts and combat and stuff to soldiers in the army. She's pretty high up, she's pretty well regarded, but she's still a woman, and she lives her life, she follows the rules, lives her life quiet, just wants to get by until a man does what a man does and tries to assert power over her. The content warning for an attempted sexual assault in this. She essentially fights back, and he doesn't take that well and has her branded a traitor, has her face branded, literally branded, and she, as she is being sent to work camp, she is rescued by the Outlaws, and she is integrated into this bandit camp, the Liangshan bandits, as they're known. There's also a another storyline happening with Lin Chong's friend, God, I always forget her name. I want to say it's Li Yu. Lin Yu. But she is essentially a sort of like a higher status woman. She holds all these salons for intellectuals. She actually is pretty intelligent herself and likes to do research and stuff like that. But she and Lin Chong were friends, and where Lin Chong just wanted to live her life by the rules and stay within what she was allowed in society, Li Yu, I know I'm saying that name wrong, she kind of chafed against it. But after Lin Chong is after Lin Chong's life is ruined by this man, Li Yu uses her resources to help make sure Lin Chong isn't executed. And that essentially is what severs their life, their previous lives, from their lives as this story moves forward, because Liu then comes to the attention of another major player in the empire, and he essentially forces her into working for him to create what is the fantastical aspect of this. It's called God's Teeth. Essentially, they're small rocks of power that people can use. And Lin Chang uses a God's Tooth of someone else, and you're not supposed to be able to use a God's Tooth that someone else has used, but she does, and the power kind of sticks with her. So we also follow her trying to figure out this power, figure out how to use it to work with the bandits, and essentially, as the story goes on, to save the bandits from the empire, and essentially to save the little people and the empire itself from the corruption in the government and all that. So that's a long way of saying it's essentially a rebel story. We don't just follow those two characters, we also get points of view from some of the other rebels, and a lot of the rebel characters are where we get a lot of the wuxia kind of genre specific tropes, the genre specific character types. We have the big brash monk. She's a woman, but she's the big brash fighting monk who all she wants to do, she gets real hot and heavy, all she wants to do is fight and be better. We have the super intelligent one who commands everything, creates all the plans and plots for every single thing. We have a poet who is really great with words and she inspires people. There's just a lot of different character types and it's a lot of fun. The last, I want to say maybe 70 to 100 pages are just, the whole book is action. The whole book is an adventure. It does slow down a little bit in the middle, but the last 70 to 100 pages are just pure like wuxia martial arts action. Just, it's so much fun to read the lead up to this and the build up to it, the final fighting, like just the badassery of all these women. It's just a lot of fun. I think if this appeals to you, check it out. But also, if you don't get into the writing and the character work, if you try it, you get 50 to 100 pages into this, you're not feeling it, put it down. I'm gonna be completely honest, like if you don't vibe with the flavor of this book within 50 to 100 pages, it's not gonna change. It's not gonna change. It is what it is from the very start. That's what you're getting. So I highly recommend this. This is just an absolute blast, but essentially, yeah, it is a very specific flavor. I will say in terms of the queerness and the gender bent part of it, the bandits are essentially a bunch of women and queer folks and trans women, trans men, but in terms of their existence within this historical China setting, actually I don't think it's specifically China, it's just the empire, but it essentially is China. Whether it is China itself or a China allegory, it is China. So I don't think that the queerness and the transness and the gender bent part of this, I don't think it feels out of place whatsoever, because these bandits are already living outside of society essentially, and the way they take in everybody, the way Lin Chang discovers everything, just kind of taken with a okay, understandable, and then you move on. So I think it is written very well, where it's with respect to the time period that this is portraying, it makes sense, but it's also pretty great in terms of showing how these people would exist in that sort of time period and in that sort of culture. It's great. Yeah, so highly recommended. I did give it 4.5 out of 5 because I think because of the genre that it is working in, there's a sort of just a bit of a remove from the actual characters. So there's maybe like one or two characters, the two main ones, Lin Chang and Liu. I know I'm saying her name wrong, but I don't remember specifically what her name is. I'm gonna put it on the screen because I know it's wrong. We're kind of like, we do get to be in them way more than the other characters, but I do feel like we are at a bit of a remove from the characters. So it was a little hard in the beginning, maybe the first 50%, to really feel emotional for these characters. But I was all in by the last half. And then, like I said, the pacing slows down just a little bit, and like I would say the middle third of the book too. But worth it. So glad this is on the Nebula. I want to say Nebula. Again, I don't remember if it's Nebula or Hugo because I'm reading them in tandem. I'm reading all those finalists in tandem. So I eventually will do a separate video going over all those finalists, and I probably will do a Hugo one and a Nebula one separately just to stay sane. But yes, great book. Glad that it is being nominated. Check it out. If it's your flavor, go for it, read the whole thing. If not, you will know pretty quickly whether you are going to enjoy this or not. So that was The Water Outlaws, probably my favorite thing that I've read this week. Okay, digitally, that I don't have here, I have my Kindles here, but I have a book pulled up. I don't want to go through that whole thing. So I read, sorry, I'm looking at my computer. I read I Am AI, which I talked about in a previous clip. I DNF'd The City of Last Chances by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And what I said in my Goodreads review essentially is that I'm discovering that Adrian Tchaikovsky is a very big ideas man, and he has incredible ideas. Like, the world building in this was incredible. Like, this is a completely realized, thought out, fully fleshed out world. But it feels like he then writes the characters to be in that world versus writing characters that exist as characters. So there were so many points of view, each coming at a main event in the world that kicks off the book, and you know, the ripples outward from there. But I just didn't care. I didn't care about any single character, not a single character. I got about 25% in, and I was just like, I just don't care. The world is cool, it's interesting, but I do not care enough about the characters to keep following them as we discover this world. So I DNF'd it. I am going to keep trying him because he's very prolific. I loved Elder Race when I read it. I read Ogres last year, and that was kind of a flop for me. Now I have a DNF, so I want to keep trying him because he has so much work. I feel like I am going to like more of it than I don't. So this was just like another misstep, but I will keep trying. And then I also read a short story by Isabel Allende called Lovers in the Museum. I got it for free. I have Amazon Prime, and if you have Amazon Prime, you get like Amazon Prime first reads at the start of every month. You get to pick a free ebook, and Lovers in the Museum was actually an extra free short story to get with it, and it was fine. I've never read Isabel Allende before, so it was my first time experiencing her writing, which was actually pretty good. It's really beautiful, it puts you right in there, but I just it was fine for a short story. I don't really see the purpose of the story, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like a short story has to have some kind of punch or some kind of purpose, and this one was just, it just kind of existed. So I wish I liked it more as my first foray into Isabel Allende, but yeah, it is what it is. So that is what I have finished this week. Really good reading week. I have not read any more manga, but I do still have a whole bunch of it here that I'm going to get to, hopefully. It is still 30 and 30 for April. I am way far behind on that, so hoping to catch up on that eventually. Okay, for what I am currently reading, I am still making my way through Terraform. Haven't read any news stories in that yet. I'm still paused on The Name of All Things, so that's just kind of sitting there. After I DNF'd The City of Last Chances, I moved on to Ninefox Gambit by Yoon Lee, and this has been a very intimidating sci-fi novel for me to finally get into, but I am here, I'm reading it, and once I allowed my brain to kind of just get in there and just accept how different and weird and crazy this world building is, like, it's there's no hand holding. Like, literally, there's no hand holding. Yoon Lee is like, you're gonna be here and you're just gonna go along for the ride, and eventually you're gonna catch up to my world building, and I kind of love that. Every so often, I just want a book that is like that, and Ninefox Gambit is hitting that for me. So I don't have a lot to say because the world building is very intense. I'm still very early on in the book. I think I'm only about 14%, and the actual story of the actual plot is finally kicking off. So I will hopefully have more updates in the future, but that is what I am currently reading. I don't have anything else currently reading. I haven't decided what next to pick for the Hugo Nebula library books that I have. I'm kind of tempted to, I have a book haul here. I want to grab one of these. There's a whole lot that I want to read, but that is where I am now. Okay, book haul time. That's this lovely stack here since the last time I did a book haul last week on the channel. So yeah, you know how I said I'm on a book buying ban? It's been my birthday. And then Barnes & Noble had to send out an email that they're having triple points day. Well, double points if you're a member, triple points if you're a premium member, and I'm a premium member. So I had to take advantage of that. I didn't buy all of these in one go. It's been kind of piecemeal, but yeah, so we'll just get to it. So I have Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. I've been hearing good things about this. I actually read the first chapter or so at the bookstore. I loved how voicey this is. I loved the voice and point of view of Vera Wong herself, and I feel like that is going to be a very strong flavor if you're going to like or dislike this book, and I enjoyed it, so I bought it. Then because that was buy one get one 50% off, I got Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. I've been hearing a lot about this too, about how meta it is in terms of murder mysteries, and I'm wanting more murder mysteries that are more mystery and not thriller, so I'm excited to get into this. Next, I love Shauna Maguire as a writer, and this is one of her alter ego. This is Myra Grant, her other pen name, where she writes a lot more sci-fi kind of stuff. So Into the Drowning Deep is very highly recommended on my book club server, and it is going to work for the R Fantasy Bingo, one of the prompts, which I'm going to do a separate video for the Reddit fantasy subreddit does bingo every year. So I'm going to do a separate video planning what I'm reading and doing a lot of recommendations for a bunch of the bingo squares. But I grabbed this. I read a bit of the first chapter-ish at the bookstore, was enjoying it, so I bought it. And I love Shauna Maguire. No matter what I read from her, she's never been under a 3-star read for me, and I've read a lot of her stuff, so I just kind of trust her implicitly at this point. Next, one of my anticipated releases for this year, Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. Looks very weird. It's kind of a romance, monster romance. It's hard to explain. So essentially, it's a monster who's fallen in love. She's a shapeshifter who resides in an amorphous lump in the swamp of a ruined manor. But then she's interrupted by monster hunters, and she creates a body to have a body again. And then she's nursed back to health after something goes wrong by Homily, a warm-hearted human who has mistaken Shasheshan for a fellow human. And then Shasheshan has to deal with falling in love with a human while hiding their monster nest. So this cover is absolutely fantastic. When I asked someone at Barnes & Noble to help me find it because I couldn't find it on the shelves, she looked it up and she was like, oh my god, that cover. And she told me about how she hoped this was real art by a real person, because in the past they had prominently, like, you know, at the bookstore they have like tables or something where they display a book prominently. She said they displayed a book prominently, then found out that book cover art was an AI art, and she said they were so disappointed and they had to like pull the display and just put the book back on the shelves. So she found the book for me, and we were both like just talking about how good this cover is, and so we looked up the art to make sure it was real art, not AI art, and the jacket art was by James Fenner. So James Fenner, like, bravo, A+ cover. Like, this is just freaking fantastic. And I feel like, going by the synopsis, like, this is just the vibes the book is giving, and I am so excited for this. Next, I had to buy my physical copy of The Imposition of Unnecessary Obstacles by Malka Older. I don't have it here. I think it's in my bedroom. The first book is I'm blanking. Oh my gosh. The Mimicking of Known Successes is book 1 in this novella short novel series. and I just love it. I will link my Goodreads review of this, because I read it as an arc, of this and the first novel in the description. I freaking love this series. It's just so good. Sapphic Holmesian murder mystery set on a colony on essentially Jupiter, or on Jupiter's rings. So I love it. Had to get my physical copy of book 2 so I could display them on my favorites shelves. And last but not least is Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Faridah Àbíké-Íyímídé. So I read and enjoyed Ace of Spades by her. So I've been looking forward to this one. It took her a little while to write this book, as she says in her opening acknowledgements. Yeah, she has a little letter to the reader about the book and the time it took to write it. But I read the first few-ish chapters because they were very short. So I read a little bit of it at the bookstore, was really enjoying it, glad that I was really enjoying it. This cover is just incredible, like, it's beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. And how often do you see a big release like this with the sort of just absolute black beauty on the cover? So super excited. Very weird boarding school thriller kind of situation going on. So I'll probably be reading this soon. I'm kind of in the mood for something like this, so you might see this coming up in another weekly reading vlog very soon. But yeah, that was my book haul. That's my nice little pile. I'm not gonna buy anything more, although I did get an Amazon gift card for my birthday, so don't hold me to that book buying ban for like another week. Okay, so that's everything for this week. Thank you for watching, as always. Let me know in the comments of what you're reading, what you've enjoyed this week, what you think about any of the books here, if you have any recommendations for what I should grab, jump into first. And I will catch you soon. How do they do it on book 2? Thumbnail time? This feels silly, but I don't know. We're getting into it. Oh god, this is so heavy. Oh. How do they do it with like more than like 10 books? How do y'all do it?